Alrighty, folks, what's going on? This is Matt here for Dark One Linux Tech Gamers, the fusion of Linux technology and gaming, and we are looking at a music reaction. I haven't done one in a while. So, anybody who knows me knows that I am a big metal fan. Specifically, my genres tend to be like I really, really like currently. One of my favorite bands is From Ashes to New. But I grew up in Maine originally, late 90s, early 2000s. So I grew up in the metalcore scene. Bands like Diecast, bands like Aftershock, bands like All That Remains, Killswitch, bands like 36 Crazy Fists. Like, these are bands I remember listening to in these shitty little dive bars in Maine, like the Asylum and those kind of things. And for anybody who grew up in that scene will understand what I mean when I say those names. Probably like Phil will probably know like the State Theater, or if the Palladium if you're from Worcester. So like those scenes I remember going to. I was friends with some of the more opening act style bands of at the time would have been like Unscarred, Forever Ashes, and Shadowfax, and a lot of those bands at the time. So I remember seeing these guys and this genre bloom, and it's hard to understand and show people what you mean when you see a genre kind of grow and become not really mainstream, but become a standard in a new way of looking at it, an accessibility to a genre that might not have been really accessible at one point in time. So I really like bands like All That Remains. So those that don't know, this is the first material these guys have put out in about 5 years due to the passing of their guitarist back in 2018, Ollie. So Jason Richardson has replaced Ollie as the lead guitarist. There's a new drummer. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he played for Baby Metal, and the other band escapes me right now. But I've kept up with these guys, so I am a longtime fan. So for reference, the style of music that I remember these guys originally blowing up with on my scene with was Behind Silence and Solitude, This Darkened Heart. This is also the same time around like 36 Crazy Fist was like Bitterness the Star, and the first Killswitch album. So these bands I've seen come and go and grow, and different members come and change. So it's really interesting to see where this is going to go. If this is going to be more old school, kind of the newer ish albums that they had between like Overcome and the last album they put out escapes me. But is it going to be that kind of newer ish sound that they had, or is it going to be more of the core kind of sound, or is it going to be an OG metalcore song where it's going to be harsh vocals that I know Phil can do, and the clean singing that I know Phil can do very well as well. And with Jason, I expect super uber technical stuff, and I mean, then again, I expected super uber technical guitar playing and stuff from these guys forever. So let's get into it. Enough of my yammering. Let's roll. I love it. So anybody who knows, this punches you in the face very much, like this Calling does. So it has that vibe. The guitaring, I'm trying to, I wouldn't call it 6. Like, as far as the intro itself, the double beats, blast beats, whatever you want to call them, that's kind of typical from what I expect from All That Remains album or song. But it is very punchy, very in your face, but it's the harmonization on the guitars is really cool. And that punchiness in the bass, all the traditional hallmarks of All That Remains song. So thus far, I'm going to say this is more Fall of Ideals Overcome kind of structurally done as far as the overall song itself thus far. So I like that. The quicker transition. Normally, Phil's transitions over the years have kind of, they're not as, I don't mean this as a slight, and it's going to sound like that kind of from harsh hold on the scream to the transition was a lot shorter and smoother, almost or more instantaneous. It's almost like a Tatiana kind of flip from harsh to clean, for Tatiana from Ginger, for those that don't know. And I like seeing it shows Phil's range, because I don't think this is what Phil doesn't get a lot of credit for as a singer, is that range that he actually does have that a lot of people will not see, unfortunately, because he really does have it. So I like him showing that range and that kind of flip that he can do, that he hasn't, from my experience that I've seen on a lot of the music, they haven't done that kind of quick flip from harsh to clean. Like it's usually more of a transitional, or it's kind of like this ghost effect that they're like in 6 that you'll hear, where it's like you'll get the harsh vocals and you kind of get like the echo clean singing. That's generally how that usually would have worked, but I do like that kind of flip. And Phil has always been able to scream fantastically, and do even the guttural death metal style screams with like songs like Fuck Love and stuff. So awesome. Loving it so far. See that there's little elements like that slide up that you heard right there from Jason in the guitaring that makes it just a little bit more different than Ollie's feel when Ollie did was the guitars. So very much still an All That Remains song and guitaring, but with the characteristics that you would kind of expect from like Jason Richardson music, which I find really cool. So like the dual harmonies on the guitar, cool element. I did see an interview that with Nick Nocturnal. I didn't listen to the song, but I saw the interview with Phil, and Jason that he had. And Mike Martin, Mike is a really good guitar player, but they do rag on him because because just of how everybody knows how technical Jason is with his music. So like they're like, oh, we're making him earn his money basically and all that stuff now. So, but this almost, and again, this isn't a slight, and I don't like comparison, but it's got like elements of like certain Trivium albums like Shogun and some of the old elements of the dual harmonics on the guitar of like Avenged Sevenfold from like Sounding the Seven Trumpets and that kind of stuff. So like it's just a lot of different elements that are new to the All That Remains formula, or that weren't, I'm not going to say weren't utilized, they weren't used often as that I'm hearing on this particular track right now. Like in one track is, I guess, probably the best way to encompass that.
Versus cowards, the life and cheering treachery. We're singing game of treason and angels can't away. The versus cowards, the life and cheering the treachery.
I'll back it up in a second. That harmonization between the scream pitched with the guitar, that is super cool. And then that kind of breakdown before they get to the punchy delivery, like almost a screaming rap verse almost is probably the best way to really say it, where it's just the kind of that punchy delivery over the beat of what they're giving. That is really cool. And just kind of that dun, dun, before that transition, really cool. Really, really cool. So like these are different elements that were in All That Remains, but they're brought forward with like this one song and elements of All That Remains kind of condensed down into one song, which is really cool. So that was a Divine from All That Remains, and all the elements that have been in All That Remains music combined into one song. That is, but with different flares that Jason and the new drummer totally brings in. And forgive me, I can't remember his name, but it's also just different ways of the way the song is put together. So like the quick transition from harsh to clean and that kind of stuff. The punchy delivery of the verse after the kind of the dun 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 dun, and then it goes into the kind of punchy delivery before the solo, and then that scream and clean transition right into the solo, and kind of the guitar and scream pitching together. Super cool. I really did like that. Like for me, this style of music is where I can appreciate like instrumentation and just kind of different aspects of the overall music, or it's be it vocals, guitar, drums, bass, whatever. So I really appreciate this more from a musical aspect than it's just like, oh, what are all the lyrics? I can't understand the lyrics. Like I can understand like the lyrics when they're screaming and stuff because I listen to this stuff all the time. But it's just one of those, like, I appreciate this style of music for the instrumentation of all the elements that bring it together as a song, as a band, as music put together. And Phil and the guys fucking killed it. I love this style. I've always been a fan of This Calling. That's probably my favorite song by All That Remains, hands down, because it just has that right balance for me. It's not everyone's flavor. I totally get that. But I don't know. What's your guys' take? What do you think? Are you a fan of All That Remains? And if not, what's your version of metal that you like? If you can go down the rabbit hole of like what you consider metal and all that jazz. For me, metalcore tends to be where I focus most of my like for metal, but I can appreciate all the other stuff. So name some bands, name some music. You guys know what to do. Comment, rate, subscribe. All that fun stuff is in the description and whatnot. I will catch you on the next piece.